The Iliad. Attributed to the ancient Greek poet Homer, is one of the most significant works of literature ever written. This epic poem is set in the final year of a 10-year siege war between the Greeks and the Trojans. Filled with passion, pride, bereavement, cruel fates, and iron wills, it has continued to engage readers for centuries. Homer's vivid characters, chiefly Achilles and Hector, continue to captivate as they wrestle with the human condition during a massive invasion. The Trojan War, backdrop to the Iliad, was a legendary conflict between the early Greek civilization and the people of Troy in western Anatolia, reportedly in the 12th or 13th century BCE. Scholars believe the epic may have been inspired by an era of geopolitical economic rivalry, which included the sackings of affluent Anatolian cities. But Homer's international conflict is ignited with the abduction of the beautiful Helen of Sparta by Paris, Prince of Troy. This single, reckless act of passion is fated to set in motion a decade of war and the deaths of tens of thousands. For Helen's husband Menelaus rallies Agamemnon, and they assemble a vast Greek army, which sails for Troy on board 1,000 ships. The Iliad focuses on certain pivotal weeks in the siege war's 10th year, with other episodes related as flashbacks. The poet not only describes the campaign's battles and heroes, but those moments when the war is influenced by divine intervention. Birthing a template Shakespeare and others would later follow, Homer plumbs the motivations of key players on both sides. Central to the Iliad is the theme of Achilles' wrath and its devastating consequences. Homer shows us that in this ancient culture, a warrior's worth is dictated by the honors awarded him by his army and by his personal conquests. When Agamemnon takes from Achilles the slave girl Briseis, one of his favorite spoils of war, Achilles loses face. Despite Achilles' protests, as supreme commander, Agamemnon cannot in turn lose face by backing down to him, so the two men reach a critical impasse. Achilles petulantly withdraws from the fight, brooding in his tent until his beloved friend Patroclus, wearing Achilles' armor, is killed in action by Hector, the greatest Trojan warrior. Achilles then transfers his rage from Agamemnon to the Trojans, vengefully meeting Hector in battle and slaying him. Remaining furious, Achilles publicly dishonors Hector's body, refusing it burial. But aging Priam, Hector's father and king of Troy, bravely creeps alone into Achilles' tent where he begs for the custody of his son's body. Achilles is deeply moved, and the two men weep together before Hector's corpse is returned to his father and Priam is allowed to leave with it. When the anger of Achilles thus finally abates, the poem ends. Its concluding scene is the funeral of Hector inside the walls of Troy. Some readers will be surprised to learn that the now famous Trojan horse strategy and the resulting fall of Troy is a traditional epilogue attached to the poem, but not actually part of Homer's Iliad itself. Either way, it remains an exciting, feasible, and fittingly tragic climax to the story of the war. So what are the Iliad's enduring legacies in Western literature? Firstly, that fighting hand-to-hand is manly, dignified, and heroic. This became a trope we can later see in everything from Alexandre Dumas' romantic dueling musketeers to an entire genre of Western gunfighter movies. Homer shows how among such men, family and community become less important than one's own warrior reputation. Even the honorable Hector, in facing Achilles, chooses his manly dignity and standing, over avoiding virtually certain tragedy for his mother, wife, and nation. Thus, ancient Greece forged a precedent that heroism was an individualistic quest, requiring ultimate loyalty to one's self above kin, country, or even the gods. The Iliad's second legacy springs from Homer's treatment of the enemy, the Trojans, as equal in stature and humanity to the Greeks. He reveals just how much both sides share in common: language, warrior code of honor, even the very same gods. The Trojans are depicted more sympathetically through glimpses of their domestic lives, while Homer mainly presents the Greeks as glory-hunting predators. In the Iliad, the fall of a noble enemy is as tragic as that of a friend, virtually elevating the poem to the realm of philosophy. Its literary and thought-provoking legacies aside, the Iliad also occupies an almost unrivaled place as a work of sustained cultural influence. Its perennial impact on Western society, art, and collective identity is virtually impossible to overestimate. For centuries, writers, poets, composers, and even politicians have drawn inspiration from its profound themes, unforgettable characters, and enduring relevance, as have the storytellers who followed Homer. Starting with Virgil's Iliad, which reimagined the fall of Troy from a Roman perspective. Later, Shakespeare's Troilus and Cressida, plumbing Homeric perspectives on love and war for Elizabethan audiences. And in our time, Wolfgang Petersen's blockbuster movie Troy, starring Brad Pitt as Achilles, once again proving that the Iliad's hold on Western imagination is everlasting. Homer's great tale of men at war has shaped our understanding of history, mythology, desire, courage, and the dark side of human nature. Its unflinching portrayals and piercing insights transpose with remarkable clarity and relevance to both our modern-day battlefields and our toughest personal duels.
So you've survived the Trojan War, but has it left you wondering if there's a smarter way to be a hero? Find the answer alongside a whole new breed of adventurer in our fascinating episode 3.